everyone, I'm Dr. Aisha Gautam. Today's lecture of mine is on social media, some ethical concerns. Before talking about the ethical concerns raised by social media, we need to gain some clarity about the very term media. The term media basically refers to instruments of communication and interaction. It includes newspaper, television, advertising, radio, telephone, magazine, and internet. Media is a major source of generating, sustaining, and disseminating information and knowledge. And hence, it is conceived as a vital instrument to inform and educate people. It therefore has a crucial role to play. It must neither peddle propaganda nor work as publicity machinery for government and corporate organizations. Humans historically started from print media, but due to the upsurge of the technological age, a unique and peculiar kind of media in the form of cyber or digital media came into effect. Digital media disseminates information more rapidly than any other form of earlier media one can think of. It is easily accessible, cost-friendly, and substantially reduces the distance of the world. It has, in fact, changed our notion of space and time. In fact, moving from media, let's talk about what social media is. We know now that what was media all about. What were the different forms of media which we have had since eternity. Talking about social media, it refers to websites and online platforms that can allow users to create, share content, and interact with each other. It in fact refers to the digital platform for social exchange that are characterized by user-generated content. Since media is understood as an instrument of communication and interaction, one might ask questions concerning the form of communication and interaction that is being facilitated by social media. It won't be a misnomer to state that social media in this context refers to online instrument with decidedly social application. So let's look at some of the features of social media which go on to show how it is both to be seen as an online instrument of some kind and how it has social applications. So, social media as an online instrument or as an online media basically uses internet or web-based application. That's the reason why we call it social media. Another thing is that it also uses mobile technologies or some virtual communities and network. If we talk about a social element of what we are calling social media, then it is important to note that social media is used as a platform for exchange of information and ideas. It allows user-generated content. It consists of high interactive platforms. It allows people to build relationship and have discussion in real time. One might ask, what are the examples of social media? So we can talk about Facebook, YouTube, Flickr, Google+, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. All these are examples of social media. Now the question which one might raise is that, okay, why is it that people try to create content in social media? What's the need? There are these scholars, Berger and Milkman. They've gone on to identify 5 reasons why users are compelled to share content online, why they're compelled to create content online. They go on to say that perhaps that reason can be something which is cause related. Perhaps they want to fulfill a particular obligation, or they want to make sure that the cause which they are so concerned about is taken care of. Another is that they may have the user may have permission, the personal connection to the content. That's the reason why they go on to create the content. Thirdly, it's quite possible that that's the way how internet users feel more involved in the world, or perhaps that's the way they go on to define themselves, or perhaps that's the way they go on to inform and entertain. Nobody can deny that social media has become a major and dominating source of our information. It cannot, however, be beyond ethical questioning. We must try to reflect on ethical concerns raised by social media, and there ought to be certain codes, principles, and rules to steer it in the right direction. Social media demands ethical investigation to bring authenticity, transparency, and accountability. Now, the question I've already spoken about, social media and how, there are certain things which are happening in social media. Now, the question which one might raise is that what's the need of social media ethics? Definitely, one can't deny that use of modern day technology has brought several benefits. Social media is no different, and chief amongst its benefit is the ability to stay connected easily and quickly, as well as build relationship with people with similar interest. As with all technology, several challenges can make the use of social media off-putting and unpleasant. Some of these challenges appear to be minor, but they have far-reaching effect on the lives of the users. If we talk about ethics, it is loosely defined as the right thing to do. In the domain of social media, some of the ethical questions that must be contemplated and ultimately answered are: what is the right thing to do in social media? Can the post created by the internet user be regarded as a post wherein there is oversharing? If there is oversharing, what are the challenges which are brought about by oversharing? Has the information in the post been distorted in any way? Or is it trying to depict the reality the way user wanted to depict the reality? What impact will any social media post have on others? Social media ethics, akin to media ethics, attempts to address the ethical concerns encountered in the entire process and functioning of the social media. It pertains to a normative account of social media rather than limiting it to a descriptive one. Some of the ethical issues and challenges which one can come across in social media are the ones which I'm going to discuss in a while. The first issue which is of concern or which needs to be discussed while talking about social media ethics is the concern pertaining to privacy. Social media platforms have access to an enormous amount of personal data, and their concerns about how this data is collected, stored, and used. Users often need to understand the risk of sharing sensitive information fully. Privacy is a significant concern regarding social media, as these platforms frequently require users to share personal information to create a profile and engage with others. One of the important privacy consideration is the sharing of personal information. Social media platforms often require users to share personal information such as their name, email address, location to create a profile. These platforms, social media platform, can then use these information to personalize the user's experience and target them with advertising. Question which one might raise is: how ethical is that? It can also be used for more nefarious purpose such as identity theft, stalking. So users must be aware of the risk involved in sharing their personal information online. Another privacy consideration is the collection of data by social media platforms. These platforms collect vast amount of user data, including browser history, search queries, and interaction with other users. This data can be used to create detailed profile of individuals and to target them again by advertising. User must be aware of the extent to which the data is being collected and used, and should take steps to limit the data which is being collected about them. A related privacy consideration is the sharing of data by social media platforms to third-party advertisers and other companies. There's also this issue of data breaches. Some media platforms store a vast amount of data and they're vulnerable to cyber attack. Privacy is and always have remained a significant concern when we talk about social media. There are a lot of risks which are involved when the personal information of an individual user is shared online. So, some ethical norms must be in place so as to make sure that these privacy breaches are not happening. Another issue, which needs to be spoken about while talking about, social media is the impact which social media has on personal development. In the age of sharing, many young people spend a vast amount of time on social media, checking the activities of their friends as well as posting on their activities so their friends are aware of what they are up to. Apart from interfering with the academic progress, time spent on these posts can have long-term repercussions. An example is provided by a student of a prominent university who posted pictures of herself having a good time at parties while in school. She was denied employment because of some of her social media posts. What if something of this sort happens? What if your prospect of getting employed somewhere, gets jeopardized because of the social media post, which you have, posted recently? These are questions which needs to be pondered upon. Another important challenge which one faces while talking about, in the realm of social media is the challenge concerning reliability. Users of social media often encounter this problem of how they are going to authenticate the content which is being shared with them. When the content goes on to paint people and establishment in a negative manner, should, internet users believe those content? There are times when content is shared with them by friends, family, and colleagues. Should we, just because those content is shared by friends, families, and colleagues, should one believe in them? Should one consider that to be reliable information or reliable content? It's important to note that in many cases, this content shared by our friends, family, colleagues may not have been created by them. The only thing which they are doing is sharing. The unauthenticated content is then reshared without any thought. And this content may have been maliciously altered by the user unknowingly in the process of transferring that content. Even if the content is not altered, the fact that the content paints someone or something in a bad light should send off warning bells as to whether or not it is right to share the content, which is the underlying principle of ethical behavior. Social media platforms have also become a breeding ground for what is called as cyberbullying. And it can have devastating consequences. It can lead to social exclusion and mental health issues. It is a form of bullying that occurs through electronic media such as social media platform, messaging apps, and online forums. One of the primary impact of social media bullying is the spread of hurtful or harmful messages. They may be in the form of comments, they may be in the form of rumors, or they may be in the form of embarrassing photos or videos of the victims. Now, if that is what has happened, then obviously that can create a lot of emotional distress for the victim in this case. Another impact of cyberbullying is the anonymity which it provides. Cyberbullies can hide behind fake usernames or profile, making it difficult for the victim to identify them. Now, the question which one might raise is pertaining moral responsibility. In the case of cyberbullying, since social media is providing this provision of anonymity, who is to be held responsible? If the victim gets affected in an extremely negative manner, in an adverse manner, then who is to be held responsible for such an unethical act? To address cyberbullying on social media, several measures can be taken. One approach is to educate young people. Another is to make sure that we are not, transferring the messages without thinking about it, without giving a thought about it. Another problem related to the problem which I have discussed is the problem of fake news. Social media platforms have made it easy for fake news to spread rapidly, which can be dangerous and have serious consequences. Misinformation and propaganda can influence people's decision and beliefs. Fake news basically, as I've already said, refers to false or misleading information presented as factual news. Sometimes social media algorithms are designed to show users content that align with their interests and preferences, which can create filter bubbles and echo chambers, where users go on to see only content that confirms their existing biases and beliefs. This makes it very easy for fake news to spread rapidly and widely, as users are more likely to share and engage with content that aligns with their worldview, even if it is false. Social media allows for the rapid spread of information without fact-checking or editorial oversight, which can lead to spread of misinformation and conspiracy theories. It may be noted that social media companies are taking steps to combat the spread of fake news on their platforms by having some applications for fact-checking and labeling false information, but still the problem continues. So we really need to think about this problem. Another problem which one can talk about while talking about social media, the ethical concerns raised by social media, is the problem of addiction. Social media can be addictive and people may spend excessive time on social media platforms. They can negatively impact productivity, relationship, and mental health. Social media addiction refers to the compulsive and excessive use of social media. There are several reasons why people become addicted to social media. For one, social media platforms are designed to be addictive. The platforms uses algorithm and notification to keep users engaged and coming back for more. Social media addiction can negatively affect a person's mental health, relationship, and productivity. To reduce the risk of developing social media addiction, it is important to be mindful of your social media use and to set limit on our screen time. Another important aspect pertaining to the issue which I have been talking about is the problem of content moderation. Social media platforms face a difficult task of moderating content, and their concerns about censorship, freedom of speech, and bias. Content moderation is important for maintaining a safe and respectful environment on social media platforms. It can help prevent harmful or offensive content from being shared with a large audience, protect users and harassment and discrimination. Social media platforms use automated tool and human moderators to moderate content. Automated tools such as algorithm detect and remote content that violates community standards or policies such as hate speech, violent or graphic content, or spam. Human moderators are responsible for reviewing content that is flagged by automated tools. Content moderation on a social media platform is a complex and challenging task. It involves balancing the need to protect users and maintain community standards while respecting users' freedom of speech and expression. So now the question which becomes very important, how to strike a balance between the individual freedom of the internet users and the community standard which we are talking about. The community standards may be in conflict conflict with the values which an individual subscribes to. In today's information age, one's digital footprint can make or break someone. It can be the deciding factor on whether or not one achieves life's long ambitions. Unethical behavior and interaction on social media can have far-reaching implications both personally, professionally, as well as socially. At least three key aspects ought to be taken care of. And those three aspects are accountability, transparency, and fairness. If there's something unethical which happens in the domain of social media, we should be able to hold somebody responsible. Somebody should take responsibility for that. We should be able to hold somebody accountable for that. Social media platforms again should try to do away with ambiguous codes and norms which they have. There should be absolute transparency. There's this claim that it's a value neutral, it's an objective framework which we are situated in when we are located in social media, but that doesn't seem to be the case. There's transparency seems to be missing. Secondly, we also need to talk about how, social media is becoming, a mode through which, discriminatory practices are being encouraged. Fake news is being spread. So fairness becomes a very important concern which needs to be taken care of. The use of social media should be governed by moral and ethical principles that can be applied universally and result in harmonious relationship regardless of race, culture, religious persuasion, and social status. Social media companies have definitely taken the responsibility of addressing these ethical issues and designing their platforms in a way that prioritizes users' well-being. Some companies, in fact, are taking steps to combat misinformation and cyberbullying, for example, by implementing fact-checking system or warning labels on content deemed misleading. Other companies have changed their platform design to reduce addictive feature. But the question which one might raise, is this enough? Or there's something more which is required? In order to understand whether this is enough, what is being done by social media companies is enough or something more is required, what we need to do is to have a constant dialogue, a constant samvad between different stakeholders. Furthermore, it's not only the constant samvad which is alone going to help us. Ultimately, it is up to the individuals to use social media responsibility. So individual responsibility is also something which becomes a focal point while talking about social media ethics. One should be aware of the risks. One should at least try to become aware of the risks and ethical consideration involved in social media use. By using social media thoughtfully and responsibly, we can all help to create a safer and more positive online environment. So, like for the lecture which I have given today, I have given some of the references which have been used in this lecture. Thank you so much. I hope this lecture was helpful for you all.